Alright, I've got 3 packages here. So since these updates are kind of off by a week, stuff with the street date was supposed to... their last week comes here today. So basically, holy shit. So this just opened naturally, and that's what I hate about this kind of packaging, is it, I'm going to be careful about tossing that aside. So you can see this packaging has a lot of styrofoam crap that just kind of explodes everywhere if it doesn't open right. In this case, I just didn't even use scissors. So again, got to be careful with that stupid packaging. Let's just put this here upside down. Now we have to be careful with this one. See, normally you're okay as long as you can find that strip. You pull it open. Oh. These are hentai. I think that's okay to kind of have. There's nothing too, something or the other about it. That is also hentai. Okay, I guess that explains why this stuff kind of ships separately. So we got the hentai side, a DVD version of Shape of Love, which I do believe a Blu-ray version arrived recently. And we've got DVD and Blu-ray versions of Foreplay. Absolutely not for children. This one doesn't say that. Oh, it does down there. I'm going to say, maybe that other one is for children, but yeah, it's not. Alright. This one we have something where we're around the solar system in 365 days. So it almost sounds like the world and around the world in 365 days, except maybe a anime space version of Reach. I don't know. I'm just pulling stuff out. It's old enough where I would, like, I can. Okay, so the colors there are kind of washed out. It feels like, but it feels like this is old enough where that could be an idea that would come from maybe around that time frame. I'm not sure about that one. In fact, it feels like it's a different anime every time I look at it. Okay, well, everybody else kind of looks detective-y, office-y, except for her. I think that's a she. Hard to tell here. That could be. It's a little more androgynous with the way that artwork is done. But, oh well, whatever. Then next up we have Life Lessons with Uramichi Oniisan. Definitely a very strange looking one. Oh, interesting. Work-life imbalanced. So it's green there, blue there. That's interesting that the back is different. Of course I would get one of these on a day when I don't want to be standing. Oh yes, looking at the back, I'd see a Regions A plus B. Don't know if I saw any on that other one. It looks like an English dub. Oh wait, there isn't one of those. I saw the red and I thought it was an insert. Turns out it wasn't. That explains why I had trouble grabbing it. Next up we have Urusei Yatsura Lum the Forever, which is another one of the Urusei Yatsura movies, I believe. I'm trying to think if I can explicitly remember for certain. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the case, but no, I'm not remembering for certain. Lights, camera, action, wait, a talking tree. That's not in the script. Oh look, there's a lot of different audio options there. English and Japanese. Interesting. It changes on the inside. Looks like that's movie 4. The slow release of the movie's on Blu-ray, but it's good. It was an entertaining series. Next up, we have Yowamushi Something Peddled, the New Generation. I think this is a movie. Japanese with English subtitles only. Region A. Yeah, that's not something other than an A next to it. I was wondering if it was saying A and B. And that wouldn't be the way I'm used to seeing it, but ooh, different on the inside. Bicycle. Yeah, there tends to be a good number of Blu-rays, DVDs that come out at the end of the month, because that's when the Eastern Star Discotheque stuff comes out and other things. So like here's Sergeant Frog complete second season. All episodes in standard definition, 52 episodes. Let's see. There's English and Japanese. So that probably means that this is still content within what was released previously. At a certain point, I'm kind of expecting it to turn into subtitle-only stuff. Because I do believe this went longer than what was out before. I think Funimation did it, but I'm blanking right now. Kekkaishi, the complete series on Blu-ray. Vaguely remember this coming out, but not actually ever getting it. This is a vid release, I do believe. Although it's got the rounded edges, so maybe I should double check that assumption. Because that's Discotheque. Blu-ray. English. By day they're mere students, but at night the students become the teachers. I think I remember watching a little bit of this. She looks really damn familiar. Like, I think he does as well, but there's something about her that strikes me a little more. Oh well. Here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Alright, let's see. Lots of stuff to talk about. We'll begin with the anime. So with my Friday friend, I watched the rest of season 5. You know, stuff that I talked about 2 weeks ago. But now he finally watched it, and good stuff. You know, I think season 5 kind of is about building up the bad guys and keeping in line with a lot of what My Hero Academia does well. Even though our main character Deku doesn't have any direct interaction with the events going on here, I think it's still really good for setting up what will be an ultimate final confrontation. And I think what they've hinted at as important things that will happen in season 5, I'm looking forward to. Whenever that, not season 5, whatever comes out in season 6, I'm looking forward to. There was another episode of Ascendance of a Bookworm, episode 33, dubbed, of course. The actual stuff is a bit further. And it's okay. It's definitely not the most immediately engaging stuff, but I think some of it is better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I almost worried the series was getting a little bit distracted by something, but it wasn't entirely. But that said, one episode at a time is pretty harsh. I do wish I was just watching all of it and getting it all, and it's exhausting. I say that as if I'm not exhausted all the time. And so it's probably just me that's exhausted, maybe not the series exhausting. Let's see. How a realist hero rebuilt the kingdom. I did mention that I had started it last time. And I think where it kind of went for the end of this... I'm not sure if I would call it the end of the series or the season specifically. I'm trying to remember. Memory's a little fuzzy. But I got the general feeling like there could be more if there needed to be, if they wanted to be. But they did have a big reveal, which was a very interesting reveal. But how did I feel about the series in general? I did feel like... Okay, so I think I mentioned last week that there was something that was a little off-putting, but not in a way that made it unentertaining. And that's like, you know, this problem where they're trying to deal with the food shortage stuff, and the idea is, so there is a sound idea in there in terms of finding things to eat that people would normally eat, but I'm not entirely convinced that some of the things people there wouldn't eat would be things they wouldn't eat, especially in that situation. Like, I know that there's some ideas there that kind of ring against our sensibilities, but it doesn't necessarily. But there's more hits than misses, I think, in terms of that. But one of the things I mentioned was it kind of feels like there was a little off where that's an important off if you think about it too much, where it's just like they have a recipe where you add just a little salt and a little sugar. And yeah, that's what we do, but we have a shit ton of salt and sugar. They're very plentiful for us, and that isn't necessarily the case in a medieval fantasy society per se. And I felt like there was just hints of little things like that through that, and that kind of mindset is almost similar to that kind of horrible mindset of, oh, the jobs where you're at are not good, you should just move somewhere to get better paying jobs. People can't always afford to do that. Same problem. Yes, this thing becomes edible if you add a little bit of salt and sugar. Not everybody has good constant supply of salt and sugar, or even of that thing that you just mentioned. So it's a little off in that regard, but other than that, the characters are pretty fun. What they do is kind of entertaining. It's not 100% perfect in its everything, but it's at least moving forward in a way that feels watchable. So, a good series overall, from what I vaguely remember. I started watching Banished from the Hero's Party. I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. I say started as if I don't have one more episode left. And I would have watched it before this, but I'm moving in slow motion. Well, what can I say? It's been entertaining. It's definitely been different than I thought it was setting itself up to be. It really is about quiet country lifestyle. Our main character is a secret badass living in the countryside. But the show really isn't about secret badass. Not in terms of its tonality and I guess what it's doing episode to episode, per se. And it doesn't feel like it's going to do that initially, but it does kind of move into this thing where, yeah, he really is just having a quiet countryside life. And if there's anything about that that's particularly bad, it's just that now that the end of this season or this series is coming up, it's kind of doing things that, while it's sort of been setting up to, it hasn't been setting it up to be as crazy as this is. And there's also not enough of that payoff of our main character definitely being a secret badass. It's there, but it feels a little limp-wristed just because it's trying to do other stuff, I guess. Which doesn't necessarily make it a bad or an unwatchable series. And I still have to watch the last episode, and I think that's an important thing to watch to judge the series overall, because it at least had my interest enough to at least get me 12 episodes in, and this week has reasons that's pretty noteworthy. But yeah, fun stuff. So let's see, if we move outside of anime, part of the reason why I didn't watch more of that, so Stranger Things Season 4 Part
2 came out. And if y'all didn't hear it, that's only 2 episodes, but they're 2 really long episodes. So episode 8 is an hour and a half. Episode 9 is 2.5 hours. But overall, they were pretty good and pretty engaging. I don't remember the details of season 1 enough. Like seasons 2 and 3, I kind of just remember feeling a little meh about. Maybe if you find older videos, you can get me remembering what I'm talking about there. But for the most part, seasons 2 and 3, maybe not necessarily bad, but definitely not as engaging to me as season 1. And season 1, you know, I kind of had my own feelings on it being mostly starting out great, ending out good. There being kind of hills and dips and stuff in there. You know, maybe not the most perfect thing, but still pretty entertaining. And so season 4, I commented, season 4 part 1 was very great because it felt like it returned to many of the elements from the first season that seasons 2 and 3 just haven't been able to get. And the tonality has been right. The interaction, it's all been pretty good. And if there's anything that season 4 part 2 did, other than making me actually hopeful to see season 5. So some people saw the end of season 3 and they were looking forward to season 4. That obviously didn't apply to me. Season 4 is definitely leaving a really fucking strong impression of me. I want to see season 5. I think anybody who watched season 4, who even remotely enjoyed the show before season 4, probably finished season 4 feeling the exact same way. Good, solid season, and it's really surprising because I think like Critical Drinker, that pessimist of a whole lot of stuff, and I think he makes a lot of really good points, pessimistic points, but still, you know, he pointed out how like Stranger Things was on the decline, and then season 4 is pretty great. Some people feel season 4 is better than season 1. I might be one of those people. I don't remember season 1 enough to actually make that claim. But there were a lot of great things about season 4. And some of the general things I had about it, other than just the story, is like the relationships are kind of interesting. Mostly because they're all awkward. And maybe awkward in slightly different ways. And for slightly different reasons. So, for example, you know, they introduced the character Robin, and they're trying to introduce that she has this lesbian crush, I guess. And of course in the 80s that would probably be a lot more of a problem, just because, you know, voicing that would be maybe not as socially acceptable as it would be nowadays. But the thing that makes that relationship really weird is it doesn't feel as needed, because with the other relationships, those happen to be with characters that are notable with the story. And so the relationship just kind of tells how they're going to do, whereas Robin just kind of feels like she's limping to the side, which gives it that feeling of being forced in. But at the same time, I think it's actually very agreeable for that, because if there's one problem I remember from Robin being introduced in season 3, I remember other people's names, of course. One thing from Robin in season 3 was I kind of remember her kind of just being this snarky, talking to people like she's better than other people sort of thing. And this awkward relationship for her, it's awkward not just in the way it maybe is inserted in, but more definitely awkward in the way it's executed. And it's intentionally so, and it's good because it makes her look like an idiot. And that's a good thing, because then it makes her look like she's just as big of an idiot as all the other people. In other words, instead of making her on a high pedestal, she's now one of the characters. She no longer sticks out like a sore thumb. She's gone from, okay, you know, I guess I'm accepting her coming in. I kind of like her. I do not like this aspect of her. And they evened it out. And Critical Drinker actually pointed out they did the same thing with Max, where Max kind of had this kind of, she's in here, I kind of liked her as a character, but at the same time kind of felt like there was something off-putting about her. There's nothing off-putting about her in season 4. She's really great in season 4. Her relationship with, I'm not even sure why I remember certain names and not other names. Oh well, the relationship she's in, I just feel like that one's awkward just because I don't remember that being developed before, but that probably says more about me not remembering season 3 all that well. Like, it just didn't leave that, or maybe that wasn't in season 3 and that was implied between the seasons. I'm not sure. It works out pretty well for the way things go in there. But the awkwardness there is... That one also feels like it came out of nowhere, and I think that one is mostly I wasn't paying attention. Heck, the Robin thing could have actually been hinted at in season 3, and I wouldn't fucking know. Because I just need to rewatch it. Apparently I need to rewatch all the seasons to kind of better memory map everything. But probably the most important, amusingly hilarious relationship is the triangle between Nancy, Steve, and Jonathan, which I'm pretty sure absolutely everybody's fucking talking about. And they're some of the most important characters in the show. All three of them are in Dead by Daylight. Both Nancy and Steve are motherfucking meme generators. I mean, they're just hilarious. Whereas Jonathan doesn't quite have that much in Dead by Daylight, but he's a legendary skin. And I think people who have him appreciate having him just because of that. And the truth of the matter is, after this latest season, I think we all want those characters more than ever. So if the license ever comes back, we want more of them. People want more outfits for both Steve and Nancy. I'm sure people would want more outfits for Jonathan, but as a legendary skin, that's a little harder to do. Maybe they can just update him so that he looks more like modern Jonathan. Maybe. I'm not sure. But content-wise within the show. So their triangular relationship is very important, because in the first season, their triangular relationship was set up as Nancy and Steve were a thing, but Steve was the scummy boyfriend type, and Nancy was supposed to leave him for the guy with the heart of gold who's a little awkward, Jonathan. And that's a story arc that happened, and I kind of remember that one just being just satisfying in the first season. You know, again, I have to rewatch it to kind of get a really good feel. But now here they are, fourth season. It's my understanding they originally intended to kill off Steve, or to write him off or something like that, but he was just so liked that he stuck around. He's, again, become an icon of the show. I mean, Scoops Ahoy's Steve is the main reason why I feel so much pain for people who are getting the Stranger Things stuff now with keys, but they can't go into the cosmetic shop to purchase Scoops Ahoy Steve. That's why I hope the license comes back so they can get it. So Steve stuck around, and now season 4's here. Steve has gone through an entire arc where now he's a really awesome person. And Jonathan isn't bad. But now it's just like, okay, well now they're acknowledging the fact that the relationship could swing back the other direction. And it feels like, but that contradicts what story arc you went through in season 1. And it's kind of hilarious, because at the same time, we kind of wanted to keep going back and forth. Oh my god, what terrible things we want to do to these poor characters who don't know what their gods want. This is Cabin in the Woods. I mean, Cabin in the Woods, we the audience were kind of the demigods or whatever. Anyways, Stranger Things, season 4, part 2. Good fucking job, Netflix. I don't know what you did, but whatever you did, it felt right this time. Good job. Let's see. Beyond that, I didn't expect to be playing Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and I barely am, but one of my Twitch streaming friends started playing Monster Hunter Rise. She picked it up, and then 2 people in her group that had always wanted to pick it up decided to go ahead and pick it up. And while I'm not starting new, I do have Sunbreak. And I've been crawling through that slowly, but I've just been having fun, mostly helping them get through stuff again. But I have dipped a little bit into the Sunbreak stuff. Nothing is immediately jumping out to me. But sometimes I feel like the G-Rank stuff of the past has been that way. Now, they're calling it Master Rank this time. So that could be M-Rank, I guess. So M-Rank is G-Rank. Basically, your armors are going to be blank blank X. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. It basically means it's the next step above high rank. And in my experience, those have very rarely been very story-driven. This one seems to be a little bit more so than usual, which is interesting because I felt like the same with the Hub Quest stuff. Like, it was a little more story-driven than usual for, compared to the previous game that I played, Generations Ultimate. So I need to get further down there to kind of have a real thought. But as it is, I'm kind of kicking ass. I'm not moving very fast, so I'm not fighting very difficult monsters. But they're not hitting me as hard as I ever remember them jumping into G-Rank. And I think that's because I've definitely gone with a much more aggressive defensive sort of thing. So I've been recommending to the people that I've been playing with lately to make defense jewels, because defense jewels are a really good thing to put in those extra wand slotters. If you think, oh, maybe I should put another ability, just up your fucking defense. It's helped a lot. So while the G-rank monsters have been hitting a little hard, there actually hasn't been anything that I can't handle alongside of, in my opinion, the most important skill in Monster Hunter Rise, at least as somebody that does closer range combat, evade extender. Like, my brother's always liked it in the previous games, and that's as a bow user who dies in one hit, and that's the way he gets, out of the way of any attacks that are coming his way. As far as I'm concerned, it's the most important skill in Monster Hunter Rise, period, because not only do you use it when you're rolling around in the middle of combat, but also in your navigation with wire bugs and all that stuff, and it allows you to get in and out of combat just so much better, and it integrated with all the systems so well. Second to that, I would probably say it could be like earplugs or defense. So those would be like the first three things I would think of focusing on if I were to recommend stuff to people. Earplugs is, of course, something that it's the most common shared annoying monsters trope, when they just yell loud enough to stun you. You want your earplugs to be high enough so that you can deal with that. Now, that said, I have been not using those, but I've been helping my friends with the low rank, high rank monsters that I'm well equipped to deal with. But I'm still Master Rank 1, so I haven't made that much progress. I've been going very slow. Just really enjoying playing Monster Hunter Rise again, just in general. It's a fun game. Just the controls are fun. Teaching people stuff is fun. I think the real problem historically was just that, when there's only the same handful of monsters and so many variations of what they try to do with them, that's when you kind of take a step back and say, well, I'm going to wait to see what you bring. Sunbreak is supposed to be some of that stuff. And I've only encountered one new monster and my first battle with it. It's a monster I've fought before, and it retreated and it decided to go to sleep, and unfortunately, I know I bring Mega Barrel Bomb, so I blew it up. Lots of pieces of monsters all over the place. Very funny. Alright. So it's been a pretty busy week. Very busy week. I hope y'all had a nice 4th of July. I watched Independence Day with the same streamer friend. It's I like the movie. It's interesting because I can see why, even though it's set up many of the same pitfalls that a lot of movies stumble on, it works out. I think mostly because, so like a lot of movies will create these very simple one-dimensional characters. This one almost does that, but it avoids it because it doesn't set it up so that all these characters are defined by their roles and they can only interact with each other using their roles. It ends up being a lot of small independent stories. So in a way, I almost wonder if it's kind of like a more action-y version of Deep Impact. Maybe more action-y isn't quite the right word. Also, I really fucking love the music. There could be a lot of nostalgia in there, but I definitely enjoyed watching that for my 4th of July. Alright, well, I think that's everything I was going to blabber about. Y'all, have a nice week.